Hello and welcome to the Emotionally Fit Humans podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Taylor. I've designed this podcast to support you in becoming emotionally fit, to deepen the experience of leadership and life. I empower leaders to navigate change, creating trusting, efficient and confident teams. Specialising in leadership and human behaviour, I know the quality of the relationship we have with ourselves directly impacts the quality of our experiences. Join me on this journey of getting intimate in discovering the amazing human you are to be able to better support those that we lead and care about. Thank you for joining me. Now let's become emotionally fit humans together. Hello and welcome back to episode 7 of the Emotionally Fit Humans podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Taylor. Today's episode is titled From Silos to Synergy, How to Create Cultural Alignment Across Your Business. Now, today we're talking about something that I see in almost every business I work with, something that quietly chips away at even the best businesses: silos. Not the grain storage kind, the invisible walls that form between teams, departments, and even people, the humans that we work with. You know the feeling when teams operate as if they're on different islands, one at one end of the island and one at the other, only occasionally waving at each other from across the land or across water. You know the signs: teams working hard but not working together. Maybe you've noticed in your business communication breakdowns, duplicated work, or that sense that everyone's working hard but not necessarily together. Sometimes projects are doubling up and communication is breaking down, and leaders wondering why, despite all their efforts, things still feel misaligned. So if you're a CEO, a people leader, or someone who's trying to pull all the moving pieces of the jigsaw of your company together to be more united and purpose-driven, then this episode is for you. If you're a business leader, a CEO, or a manager, we're diving deep into why silos form, how they show up, and most importantly, how you as a leader can break them down to build true alignment. We're going to talk about why they form, how to spot them in your day-to-day, and how you can build that culture of alignment, collaboration, and trust so that your teams are more efficient. So let's grab your coffee or water, take a breath, and let's dive in to create some synergy. Silos aren't just a structural issue, they're cultural. They happen when departments stop seeing each other as a part of the same ecosystem. So a silo isn't just a corporate buzzword. It's a real barrier between growth, innovation, and even enjoyment and your culture at work. And while they might start out innocently through specialising in one area or just through the pace of growth, eventually this costs your business. So why do silos form? They form for growth, for geography and personality sometimes. So when we look at growth, they form as businesses grow. Teams naturally become skilled in their area. I think of the divisions and departments that might happen in your company. So what starts as efficiency can eventually lead to isolation, lack of cross-skilling, and people specialising only in one area. Geography, so location. Remote or multiple locations can often drift apart in teams and there's no intentional connection. So Sometimes I've worked with companies where they might be across 5 different work sites, and I know that in a company I work with now, they have five different locations across Launceston, and so bringing that collaboration together is essential in the work that we do together. There is also personality. Sometimes it's just human nature that people stick with people who are familiar or similar to them. So here's what silos can look like in action. A team can make a decision without consulting other teams. And this can often downstream cause different impact and that flow-on effect. One team might launch a project unaware that the other team is working on something similar. Sometimes people don't speak up in meetings because it's not within their area of specialisation. And so in action, you see that people are becoming more silent and quieter in their work. Or worse, they start to lack care about what is happening across other areas and what happens outside of their role. So what is the cost of silos? Let's have a look at that. There are lost opportunities. Teams miss out on sharing insights, which means that it's missing that innovation and growth. It's also conflicting priorities. So the cost is where people are working on different priorities and are not aligning. So one team's urgent task that we see as urgent might be derailing another team's progress. It also, the main cost is low morale in your workplace. When people feel disconnected, the engagement drops, as does collaboration. And the biggest cost is your customer experience. So your customer experience will suffer. The client get a fragmented experience. So I recently worked with a company undertaking their strategic plan work, and the importance of including representatives from each division and department showed out in this, where people are aligning and appreciating where each department or division is coming from. Once we started with the directors and then work with different representatives from each team, then the strategic planning became more aligned and the understanding of what was going on in each department or division became deeper and people understood where each team was coming from. So what does success look like for the customer? It actually changes because they can see that these teams are working together. They're not isolated from each other, and they're bringing the customer experience together and check in with each other so that they're providing that streamlined result for the customer. So as a leader, what this means is that we need to start reflecting. And some key questions here for you to take away as a leader might be, where do those invisible walls exist in your business or in your team itself? Are the teams interacting, or do they mistrust each other? What is it costing you in your energy, performance, and engagement in your culture? Think about this. Where do you see them, those invisible walls? Are there teams that rarely are interacting and people are getting stuck in ownership of only their area rather than a collective responsibility of results and customer experience? So, let's go look into how misalignment quietly derails our performance. Misalignment isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's a quiet undercurrent that slowly drags the business off course. It doesn't always, hello, misalignment, I'm here. It doesn't announce itself. Sometimes it hides behind these busy calendars that we're working on and full inboxes. You might see confused messaging from your leadership, these mixed messages. Leadership saying one thing and teams interpreting them differently. You might see duplicated work between departments, that two teams are working on similar projects without even knowing it. There could be delays on waiting on decisions. These are what I call the bottlenecks. Projects stall because departments are waiting on each other, or worse, they might actually be blaming each other for lack of results. And so this also derails your culture because it's building a sense of low trust where people only communicate within their safe team, within the people that they're familiar with, and they hesitate to share information outside of their circle. So the fix to this is that we need to come up with a simplified, unified approach. Less chaos, better data and improved collaboration, all from one shared conversation. And as I mentioned earlier, that strategic planning, knowing what direction you're heading in, having your annual plan reviewed regularly, each department knowing what they're reporting on, what is their responsibility of the bigger picture, and how they are getting results, and then focusing on reviewing those each quarter, at 6 months, and at the end of each year to refine your annual plan. This documentation needs to be fluid and grow with your business. So as a leader, here are some reflection questions you might look at. Where might your business be making things harder than they need to be? Are your teams working in harmony? Are they clear on their shared priorities, as would be the communication of that strategic plan? Or are they working in parallel universes on opposite ends of the scales? Sometimes a quick check-in or a shared dashboard can reveal these overlaps or gaps. So how do we move to synergy? From silos to synergy, strategies to build cross-team collaboration. Here's where we turn our intentions into action. So let's get practical. How do you move into that synergy? I'm going to give you 5 strategies. Number 1, open up communication channels, not just in meetings. So set up regular all-hand-in meetings, not just about updates. Start cross-team sharings where we invite teams to share their challenges, their wins, and what they're working towards is really key. It might be, as a leader, that you can start an Ask Me Anything session where leaders from different departments come and ask you all the questions that they are thinking. You might use shared tools such as, I know that I use a Slack channel for communication with my team. It could be that you have a dashboard that you share your results on, or it could be that you use a project management tool. I know the ones that I've used are Monday and Trello, ones like that have the boards on what you're working on, and so that other departments can see what you are working towards. So here's a mini challenge for this week. Ask each team to present the project they're working on and invite questions and feedback from other teams. This improves new ideas and innovation and starts to get people connecting at a different level. Step number 2, mix up the teams. Recently, last week, I ran 3 different sessions for the same company, one with their directors and 2 cross-cultural groups or cross-division group sessions. So we assign cross-functional squads or teams to solve challenges and tackle the business-wide challenges, like improving your customer journey or reducing onboarding time. Let different people take the lead. For example, rotate these around to give everyone a chance to see the business from a different angle. It's all different perspectives. So assigning mixed teams to things like your customer journey mapping or process improvement. Okay, guys, we've got a system here to seek feedback from our customers. Let's work. I'd like a representative from these different teams to work on that feedback form and that feedback process and how we act on the feedback. So number 3 is encouraging job shadowing or rotations. This builds understanding. So encourage department days, or it might be in your downtime if you have that in your business, where team members spend a few hours working alongside someone else in a different department. They start, we start stepping into other people's shoes and their roles. This lets team members build empathy, or enables team members to build empathy and build their understanding of what other departments in your company are doing. It's amazing how much they can build just in a short half day, and it breaks down stereotypes and can improve the collaboration in your company. It also encourages and supports team members to open their eyes to what areas that they might like to include in things such as their performance growth plans. So a growth plan for the next 12 months of areas that they might like to learn and upskill in and cross-skill. The 4th one is lead by example, leadership modelling. This is essential. Leadership starts with you. So as a leader, start celebrating those cross-team wins. Ask questions outside your expertise. Bring that vulnerability of curiosity and start supporting and asking questions that you would like to know something that you're unaware of. This breaks down the barriers and it helps us to say, like, this is not my area, but I'd love to understand how that works. Tell me more about it. So as a leader, you are demonstrating that this is accepted within your company. Number 5 is we should align around our shared goals and have clear shared goals. The number of businesses I've worked with who do not have an annual plan or a strategic plan or their 90 days goals clearly communicated, people are in their roles doing their job but not knowing the vision or the direction of the company. And so growth is stagnant. So set business-wide objectives and revisit them often. Silos disappear when everyone knows what mountain they're climbing. They're on this journey together. Use visible progress trackers. I said about dashboards or progress bars. A lot of companies have screens that share this. So everyone sees how their work and in their department is contributing to the greater whole. And revisit your priorities often. As I said, these documents need to be fluid and evolving as your company and your team evolves. So here's a little hot tip. Pick one shared metric, for example, your customer satisfaction, customer retention, or your speed from end-to-end delivery, and make it a company-wide priority that you can focus on, collect data on, and share across the team. So let's anchor in our vision and values. The amount of companies that I go to where they have these beautiful documented vision and values on their walls. And when I open discussions with their team around how we're living the vision and values, they don't even actually know them. So how can they live them? How do we bring our vision and values to life? Alignment in companies is not just a logistical thing. It's cultural. It's about systems. It's about purpose, and it's what builds our culture. So start using things like storytelling. Start asking your team, how did you demonstrate a value in action this week? Share these real examples. I know that I work with a jewellery company here, and I ask them, tell me how you turned up with respect this week. Tell me how you demonstrated integrity within your role this week. Those types of questions. Our vision and values become decision filters. So when a tough choice comes up, we can analyse it or look at what option best reflects our values and vision. So it helps us to filter the decisions that we have to make. It also helps to be inclusive. We invite team members to discuss what the vision means to them, and this creates a deeper level of ownership. So in one company I've worked with recently, they nominate a cultural champion award for the month. And it's just it's a way of building their collaboration and a way of celebrating success. They're nominated by the peers, not by the managers or the leaders. So they nominated each other for demonstrating values, the company values. It's not about being the loudest or most productive. It's about authenticity and the impact that living those values have. And people started noticing each other's efforts of living the values. They started to feel seen, and values become a part of the daily decision making, not just that poster on the wall. It shifts the tone across your whole organisation or business. So as a leader, I want you to think of, are your values something that people feel, or are they just words on the wall? How often do you talk about the vision and values when onboarding a new team member or through your annual reviews? Where could you be bringing more meaning into the daily conversations of the vision and values? And could you make them a living, breathing part of your culture? So I've just mentioned about celebrating some of the team wins, and this builds the alignment across the me, the individual, the we, your team or your department, and the collective us, the whole company. Celebration is the glue to culture, and it keeps teams connected. So there are many ways that we can celebrate, and I know talking about a cultural champion a moment ago, it could be shout outs at the start of a meeting where people recognise each other for collaborative wins. And maybe you open your meeting with who helped you win this week, so people start to recognise what they are doing for each other. Another thing I've seen is recognition walls, where there is a physical or, as I mentioned earlier, digital space, a screen, or often I've seen it on laptop backgrounds where they share thank yous or post of where someone has supported them, and recognising people doing well and living the values and culture and breaking down these silos. It could be the end of product showcases, and I know that social media is a great platform for sharing that with our customers, but what if we did this within our company? I know one building company that I work with, they have different people working across the departments, but once it's gone to installation, they'll take a team out and have a look at this and celebrate where that installation has taken place and the project is at completion for the customer. And it's really good to build that, that's how I contributed to that main job or the end result of that project. There's always things like celebration breakfasts before you start the day. It could be team lunches or workshops, or it could be virtual coffee breaks that you celebrate projects or milestones together. So as a tip here for our leaders, praise publicly. And when you do, make a habit of recognising cross-team efforts, not just individual achievements. And this shares that collaboration is valued in your company. So let's bring all this together. Here's the truth. Silos are normal. They're not inevitable. They don't happen all the time. But when they do, they can be broken down. With a little intention, you can turn isolated teams into a powerhouse of synergy. With clear intentions, consistent communication, and that little bit of creative courage, it builds synergy across the entire business. So this week's leadership challenge for you is, what's one small action that you will take to foster alignment in your company? Maybe inviting someone from another team to your team meeting. Maybe the shared wins channel that we talked about. Maybe it's just asking your team, how do you see our vision and values in action this week? I'd love to hear what you try. I'd love you to message me on LinkedIn or email me, lauren@tailormadechange.com.au, or tag TailorMadeChange on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. And remember, if you're ready to build an emotionally fit, culturally aligned team, then reach out to me, lauren@tailormadechange.com.au, or go to my website, tailormadechange.com.au. All the details are included in the show notes today. Until next time, lead with curiosity, with connection, wisdom, and a bit of fun. Thanks for listening, and remember, let's become emotionally fit humans in leadership and life together. I'm cheering you on all the way.